Hi, thanks for joining me in another episode of Why Not Go. I want to thank everyone for subscribing and liking the videos, and I was very pleased that so many people were interested in the Bromley contingent. That makes me feel really good that I could put some names to some faces. I know most people knew about Susie and Steve Severin and Billy Idol being the Bromley contingent, but I'm glad I could put some names to those colorful faces that I was so intrigued with in my youth, and I guess a lot of other people were as well. So I'm really glad that people, that you all enjoyed that video, and a lot of people like that last video on the Bromley contingent. So this video is a little different. I'm going to talk about being deported from England. Yes, I was deported in 1990, and on that night I hung out with Jourgensen of Ministry, and this video is also a live video. Hopefully I can film at the Hard Rock. We live about 25 miles outside of Orlando, and I've never been to the Hard Rock, the concert venue, the club there at Universal. But we're going to go tonight, and Ministry are playing, Frontline Assembly, who I don't really know, and then also Gary Numan. I love Gary Numan. I loved him. I never saw him back in the day when he was famous, obviously, for Cars and Our Friends Electric and Down in the Park. But he's really kind of reinvented himself in the last few years. And if you go online and look at some of his recent stuff, I love his song, My Name is Ruin. We saw him live at a small club in Pensacola about a year ago, and he was fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Gary Numan again. He's got a great band. The bass player and the guitar player, they have shaved heads and they wear skirts, and they're very entertaining to watch. So it's a good live show. So tonight we're going to see Gary Numan, Meat Beat Manifesto. Not Meat Beat Manifesto. Frontline Assembly, and Ministry with Al Jourgensen. So that should be a lot of fun. So yeah, I wanted to talk about. People might find this interesting because it was one of the worst days in my life, but also a really good day. In some respects, it ended well. In 1990, I was 32, and I'd already lived in England for 2 years, from 1978 to 1980. That's why I saw Sid Vicious and lots of other concerts during that time. But in 1990, my boyfriend at the time, his name was Jerry, he wanted to go to England. He was a bass player, and he wanted to go to England to try to get in a band over there. And as much as I loved London, I didn't really want to go at the time because I had bought a condo in Hollywood, and I had graduated from college, and I think I was working in public relations at the time, music public relations, and I really didn't want to go. But sometimes you do things rightly or wrongly because you're in love. So I thought, okay, I'll go over there for a while. I thought we'd only stay there a year, but we ended up staying there about 7 years, and I rented out my condo before we left for a year. So we get to London, and we did a really stupid thing. We bought a one-way ticket, because it was slightly more expensive to buy a round-trip ticket. Well, that's not a good thing to do if you're going to a foreign country, to have a one-way ticket, because right away they have a protocol for things that are red flags, and we had all kinds of excuses. Oh, we just don't know when we're gonna come back, but we're gonna come back in 2 or 3 months, and it just didn't go well when we got to the airport. We flew into Gatwick in the summer of 1990, and so it was just awful. And the process went on, kind of on and on. It's not like they technically what happened to us. We were refused entry. I think deported is when you're actually living there and they come to your house and they tell you to leave. So technically we were refused entry, but I just say deported because that's a term most people know. And so it just didn't go well. I think the whole process went on for hours and hours. We were separated, we were strip searched. You know, we look kind of rock and roll. I had been in a band in the 80s, a band called Community FK, that was a popular band in LA. We had a song called Something Inside Me Has Died. But I really wasn't playing music anymore, and my boyfriend at the time, he wanted to go over there and play in a band. He actually ended up joining Flesh for Lulu and then Zodiac Mind Warp. He was on the One More Knife album under the name Tex Diablo. Zed named him Tex Diablo. And we ended up being good friends with Zed. But anyway, so we get there in 1990 and we were separated, we were strip searched, we were, I remember I had a diary, they read my diary and they were laughing, and it was just awful. We just wanted the whole process to be over. I was like, okay, we'll go back to LA. I just wanted to get out of their interrogation rooms. And so finally they told us that we weren't allowed into the country, and and there were no flights going back out that time, because I think flights going from London to LA are usually in the morning. So they kept our passports and they said, you've got to be back at the airport in the morning for the flight home. Thankfully, we didn't have to pay for the flight home. So anyway, so we come into London so tired, so devastated. I don't know how long that interrogation process ended up being, but it was hours and hours. I know that. Very awful. And I don't mean to put down British immigration at all, because they were doing their job, and we did intend to stay longer than the 6 months that you're allowed. So they did their job. They were very good. So we ended up in London and to spend the night, and we got a room at the Columbia Hotel, which I'm glad is still there. I enjoyed the Columbia Hotel. It was kind of a kind of a budget hotel, but an old building and right there in Hyde Park. Maybe I'll stay there again. So the day that we're deported, we're there at night and we're at the bar at the Columbia Hotel, and I think we had something to eat, and I could hardly drink. I was, 10-hour flight from LA, and then probably 5 hours of interrogation, and then we were refused entry at Gatwick, and it was just awful. And so I'm sitting there at the bar, or we're both sitting there at the bar, and my boyfriend Jerry looks over and he said, "Oh, look who's at the bar." There was hardly anybody there, but there was a small group of people at a table, and Jerry said, look who's over there. It's Al Jourgensen from Ministry. And he says, and there's Paul Raven. I'll show a picture of Al Jourgensen, how he looked back then. He's much more kind of extreme looking now. I know he has face tattoos now, but this is about how he looked then. And then I'll show a picture of Paul Raven. Paul Raven, unfortunately, I know he ended up playing with Ministry later, and of course he's famous for being the second bass player in Killing Joke. That's a band I loved, and he was there, and but unfortunately Paul Raven, he died in 2007 in Geneva. He died of a heart attack, so that's tragic. So they were there, and then there was also a member from Meat Beat Manifesto, and I didn't know who it was. I know there was two guys in Meat Beat. I'll show a picture of them here. Jack Dangers is on the left, and Johnny Stevens is on the right. And I don't know which one. I just remember he had a shaved head. So it was one of the two members of Meat Beat Manifesto. So it was just the three of them. There was a girl that joined later. I think she was a friend of Al Jourgensen. And so they looked over at us, and they were like, "Hey, come over here." So we were just we were so tired and so devastated with the being deported, but they were beyond friendly. And please comment if you have any similar experiences with hanging out with musicians at a bar, and it's just kind of spontaneous. I've always found musicians, for the most part, to be very intelligent and friendly people, and this group was no exception. So they're all, hey, come over here, probably because we look kind of rock and roll. I had long black hair. I was kind of going for the Betty Page look back then. And my boyfriend had black hair as well. And so we went over to their table, and again, we were exhausted mentally and physically beyond belief. And but they were all so friendly, and and I knew Al Jourgensen, he was already a legend in 1990, and then Paul Raven as well, and so we're sitting. So they wanted us to join their table, and we told them about being deported, and Al Jourgensen was very sympathetic. He said, yeah, I have trouble with immigration sometimes because I think he said because of the way I look. But we had a lot of trouble. We were refused entry, but they were so friendly, and anyway, we ended up staying drinking with them, I think for at least 6 hours. I mean, I think the bar stayed open late just for the guests, and I think we were at that bar from, I'm guessing, about 8 p.m. to about 3 a.m., something like that. So, oh God, yeah. But, they were just talking, everyone was so friendly. And they talked about this and that. I remember my boyfriend was interested in Zodiac Mind Warp. I think Paul Raven had already played. He had also played with Zodiac Mind Warp a little bit. I don't remember all that we talked about, but I just remember everyone was super nice, super friendly. So it was a horrible day, but it ended up having a fun ending thanks to Al Jourgensen and Paul Raven and the guy from Meat Beat Manifesto. And then afterwards, everyone, went to their rooms. I think Paul Raven went home, and Al Jourgensen was staying at the hotel. And the guy from Meat Beat, he didn't have a hotel room, and so we says, "Oh, you can stay in our room." And the last thing I remember of that night, as I said, I think it was about 3 a.m. We had 2 beds, and the guy from Meat Beat Manifesto was in one bed, and we were in the other bed, and it was all dark, and we were talking about California and songs about California. And the last thing I remember from that night was, we were all singing the song, "Do You Know the Way to San Jose?" Ba, 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 ba. The fifth, I guess it's the Fifth Dimension. We were all singing the Fifth Dimension song in the room in the dark, and then we all went to sleep, and it was a great night. It was just a great night, a great night and a horrible day. So that's the only way I can explain it. And so. Next morning, we see Al Jourgensen coming down the steps, and he's looking very cool with a hat and a long coat, and he was so nice. And he asked if we wanted to ride to the airport. He wanted to share a cab with us, but he was going to Heathrow, and we were going to Gatwick. So we said no, we've got a different way to go. We've got to go to Gatwick. So that was my trials and tribulations of being deported, and then having one of the most fun rock and roll nights in the same day. So we did end up coming back to England about 2 or 3 weeks later. We bought round trip tickets, and we came in a different port of entry because we thought we'd run into the same people. So I think we came through Dover. That's how we came into the country. And we ended up staying a long time, and I worked at the Astoria the whole time that I was there. So I initially didn't want to go to London, but London to me is such a wonderful place. Even though I didn't really want to go initially, and I only wanted to stay a short time, I ended up staying a long time. That's how much I love London. So enough about the past. In the next part of the video, we're going to see Al Jourgensen, the guy who saved our night, our deportation night. at the Columbia Hotel back in 1990. I remember his songs, Stigmata I really liked, and a song called So What, and I remember seeing him at the Astoria a couple times, because I think they toured quite a bit in the 90s, and I look forward to seeing Gary Numan as well. So enough about the past. Let's get to the rock show. All right, we made it to Universal Orlando Resort, and we're at City Walk. Joe's over there, and I've never been here before. I'm not a big theme park person, but here they have the Hard Rock concert venue. It's so funny. I remember going to the Hard Rock back in when it started in the 70s, that restaurant right by Piccadilly. And it's amazing that the Hard Rock is now such a big part of, I don't know, like a global thing. All right, so we're going to look for the Hard Rock. All right, I found the Hard Rock. So this is where concert's going to be, and this is what the City Walk looks like. We have boats that go around and all kinds of rides. Universal Studios. It's kind of funny because there's like theme park people, and then there's a lot of rock and roll goth people right now walking around. It's a nice mixture. I'll just go over here to the water. It's a nice day in Orlando. God, it's really nice and cool. Not too hot yet. All right, one more look at the Hard Rock, and then I'm gonna go on in there. All right, so I'm inside the Hard Rock Cafe, and I had to use the bathroom, and I found the Sex Pistol little corner here. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a great spot to be by the bathrooms, but here we are. And they've got this here, which is a lot of little buttons. I love it. I'm not sure if the buttons are that old, but they've got a lot of buttons.
Yeah, this one's original, I think.
Yeah. And they got PIL, that's neat. And Sue. Yeah. They got Sue Catwoman, PIL. All right, the Great Rock and Roll Swindle. The only notes that matter are the ones that come in wads. I love that. They got that there. And then over here is a poster for the Rock and Roll Swindle. And there's Helen of Troy. All right. Malcolm. Oh, that's cool. At least they honor the Sex Pistols. Maybe there's some more stuff, but this is all I found at the bathroom. I don't remember that handkerchief. God save the Queen. The concert's over. Everybody's leaving. You can see everybody leaving there, and it was a great show. I forgot how much I really loved the song Stigmata and Burning Inside and New World Order, and I don't know, they have so many good songs. I thought they were great. Al Jourgensen is still amazing, and Gary Numan was great too, so it was a great show. It was fantastic. Did you like it, Joe?
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah? What did you think?
It was great.
Yeah.
Gary Numan and
and at the end they were on the stage together.
It was totally unexpected.
That was yeah. They did 2 encores. The second encore they were on the stage
The opening
together.
act was great.
Yeah, and
I loved them.
Yeah, Frontline Assembly. You like them?
Yeah, they pumped you up. They get you in the mood.
Yeah.
Get you ready to go.
Yeah, you get ready to go.
Yeah, with them. Yeah, they're good.
All right.
It was a good opening. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna sign off. You know what we say? We're gonna be seeing you.
Be seeing you.
Be seeing you. Thanks for watching.